Mr Chair, is what the purpose of local government is actually for. Thank you.
Grant Robertson.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair. I think Jackie Dean missed the memo from Nick Smith, which is that this bill is actually meant to be about restricting what local government can do. He actually said that about 10 minutes ago, but Jackie had switched off during that and decided to come up with a new narrative. Well, the National Party can't have it both ways, Mr Chair. But more than that, it's a bit rich to be lectured by Nick Smith about the rights of ratepayers and local democracy, because this is the man who cancelled the elections for Environment Canterbury because he was worried about the result. That's why Nick Smith cancelled the elections for Environment Canterbury, because he didn't like what might come out of a democratic result. Well, Mr Chair, it is absolutely clear on this side of the House what the agenda of this national government is. It's actually about central control. Now, once upon a time, members over there would throw those accusations at the Labour Party. Well, look at what this government's done when it comes to local government. They are wanting to centralise control to them and take it away from ratepayers. Jackie Dean talks about the rights of ratepayers. What about the rights of ratepayers to have a say on reorganisation of their area? What about that? They used to get an automatic say in a referendum. This bill takes that away. This bill says you've got to find 10% of the ratepayers to actually get that. That takes away the automatic right of a referendum. That's taking away democracy, Dr Smith. Taking away democracy in Canterbury, cancelling elections, installing commissioners, and then when the commissioners themselves, the officials and the whole of the country is saying, bring some democracy back to Canterbury, what do the government decide to do? Carry on. They decide to carry on with unelected commissioners in Environment Canterbury. So I won't be lectured in this House by Nick Smith about the rights of ratepayers and local democracy, because this whole legislation is all about getting rid of the rights of democracy for ratepayers in New Zealand. Mr Chair, Dr Smith, when he got up, decided to tell us a little story about the four well-beings and what was wrong with them, and how this had led to this huge explosion in rates across New Zealand. Well, let's take a look at the view that's expressed in the regulatory impact statement, Mr Chair. In the regulatory impact statement, what we hear, because this is the basis of the change of the purpose statement, it's out of control. That's what Nick Smith's telling us, out of control at local government level. Let's see what the regulatory impact says. There is no evidence to date, Dr Smith, that the 2002 Act has led to a wider group of functions being undertaken. No evidence at all. Now, that was the 2006 Local Authority Funding Issues Report. A year later, in 2007, the report of the Local Government Rates Inquiry said that noted in its assessment there was little that local government is now doing that has not previously been doing. Dr Smith has tried to manufacture a crisis around local government to pursue his own ideological agenda about stopping local people having a say over what they want in their communities. That is what this bill has been about. It has been predicated on a falsehood. Two reports there for Dr Smith, 2006, 2007, and then the excellent NZIER report that my colleague Annette King tabled earlier on. And it doesn't matter who commissioned it, Dr Smith. Does Dr Smith, are you questioning whether the statistics in here are valid? Is that what Dr Smith is suggesting? Well, let's have a look at that then. Let's have a look, because Dr Smith had a lot to say before about debt levels. Let's have a look at what it says about debt levels here. Debt and debt servicing measures are at prudent levels. Prudent levels. Debt to assets, a commonly used measure, has risen only modestly, and interest payments are at a prudent level of incomes. Local government will always have to carry debt. It's about what you do when you have a large asset base like local government. It's prudent levels, Dr Smith. I'm not going to take Dr Smith's statistics, because what we learned was that the numbers that Dr Smith put on and the Department of Internal Affairs put on their website to talk about, to back up the better local government, when my colleague Annette King wrote to Dr Smith's successor to ask why the numbers that are on the website had changed, this was the answer that she got back. You note that the department has removed the tables from its website. As noted on the website, this was because there were issues with the data. both in terms of accuracy and in terms of the picture that was given for some councils. So Dr. Smith puts up statistics on the website to try to say that spending is, Mr. Chair,
Grant Robertson.
to say that spending is out of control, and then his successor has to come along and say, no, actually, that was wrong as well. So what we've got is a litany of incorrect statistics, falsehoods that have been put up to justify taking away from councils the right to make their own decisions. Now, this is the bit where the government just doesn't seem to get it. What the four well-beings have been about is actually giving local communities the ability, through their councils, to see services that reflect the needs of those communities. That's what has happened. And as Eugenie Sage said before, if we take away environment, what does that mean? What does the government actually want out of doing that? If we take away social, if we take away cultural, if we take away economic, what does the government actually mean by that? It's one message, clear message, that central government is saying to local government, we don't want you in these areas. Well, that might be all right if central government was actually doing something in those areas. And I say to Nick Smith and to the national benches, the Mayor's Task Force for Jobs has done more to create employment and jobs in its work than this government has managed in 4 years. They have done far more, and those mayors deserve to be congratulated. And that's because they've taken on board what's happening in their local communities, and they've said, we're going to step up and we're going to do this work. And communities have backed those people who've done that and re-elected them. They are doing that under the 2002 Act because they are looking at the whole well-being of their communities, economic, social, cultural and environmental. And this bill seeks to say, no, that's not the right approach. Central government knows best. We're going to come in and tell local government what to do. And Mr. Chair, it is a fundamental misunderstanding of the place of local government in New Zealand from Nick Smith and the National Party. Because local government, as has been said before, is a key part of our democracy. We only have the one chamber here in Parliament. We seek to govern New Zealand from here, but we need strong, effective local government that is delivering the services that New Zealanders need and want. And ratepayers, Jackie Dean, the rights of ratepayers is the right to have a council that is able to meet the needs that they identify. That's what the purpose statement of the 2002 Act does. And along come the national government who think they know best about what's happening in New Zealand, who think that they can dictate to councils and local communities. Well, that is wrong, Mr. Speaker, and Peter Dunn is the final person I want to address in this contribution. He has the vote. He has the vote that can say to New Zealanders in their local communities, you still have a right to have control over what services are provided to you. You don't have to have central government dictate to that. Peter Dunn can do that by supporting Annette King's SOP, and I urge him to do so.
Mr. Chairman. Tracy Martin.
Chair.